Okay, so this is our seventh um, section for this Prayerbook Hebrew. We are doing this in the Earth Academy, and we are using Prayerbook Hebrew the easy way. And we're going to continue in chapter 5 and look at the adjectives, the exercises. We have a few more to complete. We're also going to look at the prayer that we have been working on, I think, for the last 2 weeks, and this should be the last week where we complete this. Remember, adjectives are descriptive words that describe the noun. For example, a boy standing by himself is not really all that significant, but when we say a big boy, we're describing the boy. And so things like big or small or holy or unholy, those kinds of things are descriptive. And so that's what we are learning about this week in our Hebrew class. And we know that in Hebrew, unlike English, we have to be very careful to understand what the gender is of any particular noun. And then we have learned in this chapter that there are 4 different forms for each descriptive word, each adjective. And we're going to get into the exercises and we'll see that quite readily. So let me open up our screen here, and we're going to go to chapter 5, Prayerbook Hebrew the easy way. Now I've got this set at the exercise 4, which is where we left off the last time. But before I do that, let's take this down to the prayer and look at this real quick here. So we have been learning this Echad Eloheinu prayer, which follows the Shema whenever there's Torah service for the Sabbath and the festivals. And we're noting that there's 3 pairs of words. So in the pair, there's a noun sentence with an adjective and a noun. And of course, it's ordered here such that the adjective comes before the noun. So we notice here, let me get my marker out, annotate here. So here we have a adjective, echad, one, and Eloheinu, our God, is one. Eloheinu, the new ending, meaning our. It's a function of the pronoun we. Then we have this next one here, Gadol, Adonenu, our master, our Lord. Great is our Lord. And here is another one we've learned in this chapter, Kadosh, meaning set apart, although you see it translated in many cases as holy, but I think that is a very deficient translation. I've always liked translating that into English as set apart, because that really does convey the character of the Father more accurately. And then Kadosh Shemo, so set apart is his name. So let's go back up here to our prayer here and see what we have. Now, I think I transliterated these the last time, but let me read it in Hebrew, and then I will cant it. So we have Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Okay? Now, the tune is a little like this. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Okay? And it's got a nice little sound to it, I think. All right, let's go down to our second one here in this chapter from the Kedusha. And so we know that Kadosh means set apart. okay? And it's repeating here, kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Zephaot. And of course, this is the abbreviation that the book uses to try to hide the name out of respect for the Jews. So really, we could actually say that looks like this. Yod He Vav He, okay? So it's also known as an ascending, so it goes up the scale. And it goes like this. Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Zephaot. Now, Zephaot, T-Z-E-V-A-O-T, of hosts, Zephaot. Okay, so let's now go back and just take a real quick gander at our vocabulary, as I like to do at the beginning of these chapters. And we'll just go over these really quick again to remind us of what these adjective words are that we're dealing with. So we have Baruch for blessed, Gadol for big or great. We have Tov, we have Kadosh, and we have Rav. In this chapter, there's not a lot of vocabulary necessarily, but when we get to the forms, that's where we have to really pay attention. We look at all these forms here. Remember that there is a masculine singular form, for example, for Tov, which would be here. But if we're talking about a woman, notice this, the kametz he ending. And so we get tova. If we're talking about multiple male gender noun, it's tovim, and multiple female gender noun, tovot. Okay, and that's the same way with all these. So it's good to, you don't have to necessarily remember every single nuance of spelling, but you should know the pattern. For example, notice that this pattern is the same here. I'm going to look at tova. Notice the kametz he. Let's go over here now to kadosha. Notice the kametz he. You see what I'm talking about by the pattern? How about rabbah? These are all feminine singular forms of the adjective. Rabbah for much, and the same thing over at gadolah. Kametz he for feminine singular. Now, so then the same thing we would find, except in a masculine plural, we would have the hirik, yod, mem, sophit ending in masculine plural. So this is what I mean by notice and start to recognize the patterns, okay? That will greatly enhance your learning if you begin to see this language as having a lot of patterns. And yes, there are some irregulars. We've gone over those, but I wouldn't worry about those so much as to kind of focus on the general rule. And the same thing, we have oat, we have oat, we have oat, okay? These are patterns. Okay, so let's now go to, and I believe somebody just joined us. Let's get down to, this is our exercises we ended on, and we're going to literally translate these the reverse. Before, in the previous exercise, in section 3 of this chapter, we were translating these into English. Now we're going to go the other way and translate into Hebrew. Okay, so let me stop the share for a minute. Let me get my chat window up here. It's good to see. Got some folks here. Just in case, I don't want to miss any comments or questions, as the case may be. Okay, now this says translate the following sentences into Hebrew. So what we want to do here is we want to notice something very carefully. Let me get my annotation. Okay, there we go. So number one, we're looking at number one. There we go. Okay, so this is the one we're going to want to pay attention to, the noun, Sabbath. Okay, first we need to figure out whether Sabbath is masculine or feminine gender. Well, we know that from our previous chapters, we learned that Sabbath is feminine gender. And notice that it has the definite article on it, so there has to be a hey there in some sort. Now, the word holy, we know, is kadosh, but since the Sabbath is feminine, we're not going to use kadosh. We're going to use the feminine singular form because we're only talking about one Sabbath. And in order to get this sentence to match properly in Hebrew, so let's look down here and see what this will look like. I'll kind of draw an arrow here. So we're going to start out with the Sabbath. And since we're starting with the, we're going to use the hey, right? Okay. And we're going to put your patak under there. And then let's start by writing Shabbat. Okay. We superlinear dot. We put a dagesh in there. Okay. And a bet. Okay. And a kametz. And we end that word with a tav. Ha-Shabbat. Now, we need to get this word here in its feminine singular form. So what is the quickest way for you guys to do that? Well, when you got your book, it's good to have like a little bookmark. Whenever they put these charts out, it's something I've learned as I went through these a long time ago. Have a little bookmark so that you can quickly turn back and you can learn the form. So, for example, in this case, we would go to page 33, I guess, is what it would be. And there's the chart. Okay, you'll have to excuse that writing there. Let me get rid of that. So we look at the feminine form. So what is the feminine form of kadosh? It's this one here. Kadosha, and it has the kametz hey, because that has to match the Sabbath. Okay, now notice that there's a bit of a nakud change here, because in your masculine singular form, you've got kametz here for your vowel, but it changes in all of these examples to shava. Okay, to Shiva. So that's just something to make note of. So let's then now go to back to our exercises, and we will find those on page 37. Okay, so the Sabbath is holy. I think we're ready to go now. We'll just write this out. Ha. Shabbat, give it a little foot there, and then we have a kof, a little difficult letter to write, and a dalet, okay, and it's just, the first part is written just like what you would see on kadosh, but instead of a shava, we would have kametz hey ending. So that is number one, okay? So I hope that that was explanatory enough. So let's look down at number two and see what we can come up with. We have many words are blessed. Well, we know that devar is masculine. So that's the word for words is devar. But notice that it's plural. So we are going to be using the plural form of devar, and it's going to be devarim. Okay? So we know that there's two things that have to match here. We have to match this, and we have to match this to this. Okay, this is the noun. So let's see what we can do here. Two, many words are blessed. So we know that the word for word in Hebrew is davar, so we're going to put davarim, right? Okay. A vet, a resh, hirik, yod, mem, sofit. Okay, we're going to rearrange this a little bit. We're going to say words many, because remember in Hebrew, a lot of times it's the reverse of English. So, devarim, and we're going to make the word, notice the many has to match two, so it's got to match it's got to match the plurality of it. So it's going to be rabim, okay? And all we're doing is adding the same pattern, hirik, yod, mem, sofit. Devarim, rabim, and now we need to make the holy, this part here, we need to make this holy match plurality and masculinity. Well, if we go to our chart, page 33, you'll find that it's the hirik, yod, mem, sofit ending. That's the pattern we're looking for here. So, let's go, and now when we say many words are blessed, we also have to make it as if it was they are blessed. We're talking about them, they. So we would put haim there, okay, to make that look full. And I know this sounds kind of complex, but just do the best you can with it, guys. Do the best you can with it. And we need to now get the plural masculine form of blessed, which we know is Baruch in its basic form. But now it's going to be something called Baruchim, okay? We use a shurik in this case, and a chaf, and now hirik, yod, mem, sofit. Okay, so how that should read is Baruchim, Rabim, Haim, Baruchim, or Devarim, rather. I'm sorry, let's do that again. Devarim, it's Rabim, Haim, Baruchim. There we go. That's correct now. That's number 2. Okay? Does this make sense? I hope so. And let me look down here at our, where's our, okay, I guess we don't have any questions. All right, so let's go then to number 3, okay? Now, number 3 is a little easier, I think, for us. And we have peace is good, okay? Now, remember, in order to make this grammatically correct, we need it to say peace, it is good, which we have to figure out whether or not, what gender we're talking about here, okay? So shalom, we are looking at a masculine, okay? So let's start out with shalom for peace, okay? Sheen. We put a kametz under there, and a lamed, shalom, and we have a holem and a mem sofit. And now, although we see it in English as peace is good, in Hebrew, it's actually going to be peace, it good, because we have to put our pronoun in there. So we're going to use for the masculine singular, it's going to be who. Remember when we were looking at those, it also can mean it. Well, in this case, because it's not a person, we're talking about an inanimate noun. It is a quality, peacefulness, and yet it's a noun. We're going to use who because it's masculine gender. So let's put our hey there and our shurik and then our aleph. So we have shalom, who, and then tov. Okay. All right. So that's how that should look. Shalom, hu, tov. Number 3. All right. So let's look at number 4. So we have the sons are great. Well, we know 2 things right off the bat. We've got masculinity here and we've got plurality. So that means that this is going to have to match up. Great is going to have to match up. And we're going to have some kind of a pronoun in here to work with that there. Well, actually, in this case, because it's saying our, I don't think we're going to have to do that. Let's just put the sons great in plural. So let's go to. We know that the singular form of son is bane, but if we were to make it many sons, remember it's banim, for sons. Okay, so we also need to remember that there's a definite article here. So we have to be, it's ha something. Well, ha banim. Well, great is gadol in its masculine singular sense, but we need it to say masculinity and plurality, right? So we're simply going to put the pattern for masculinity and plurality, which is hirik, yod, mem, sofit. Okay, so let's see what it looks like here. Okay, so number 4, we have a hey, okay, and then the first letter of banim is bet, kametz, and we have a noon, and we have a hirik, yod, mem, sofit. Okay, so now we have habanim, so that's the sons, and then are included in there, and then we simply put great. So we know that gadol is the masculine singular form. So we are going to make this say gadolim. Okay, there's our dalet, our holem, there's our lamed, and we're going to put the hirik, yod, mem, sofit ending on, which denotes masculinity and plurality. Okay, habanim, hagadolim, and that is number 4. Okay, right up there. All right. Let's go to number 5 and see what we can do here. So we know that truth, if you recall, it has a feminine gender to it, truth. Okay, isn't that interesting? So what we're going to do is we got to make the word good, which is tov, we need it to reflect femininity and singularity. Okay, so we also have this right here, which is our definite article. So it's not just truth is good, it's the truth is good. So we have to have a hey definite article attached to truth. So if truth is emet, we learned that from our vocabulary list earlier in a previous chapter, we need to say the truth, making it ha emet. So let's start down here, and we'll put a hey there. In this case, there's going to be a kametz under there. And then amet, we have this thing called a reduced segol or hataf segol. Okay? And then we have a mem, okay, and a regular sagol, and meh, and it ends with tav. Ha emet. Okay, now we need to take this word here, good. It's not tov. It's got to reflect femininity and singularity. Well, if we remember, the pattern for that is kametz he. So all we're going to do is just take the tov, the general form of tov, meaning good, okay, and we'll put a holem there. We end it with a vav, but then we put our, remember, to make it feminine and singular, tova. Hahamet tova. The truth is good. All right, Baruch Hashem. I think we're doing pretty good here. Let's look at number 6. Okay, so we have a pronoun they, and they that's being talked about is daughters, right? So we know right off the bat, femininity is involved here, and plurality, because they is a plural pronoun. So this good here is going to have to reflect this here, femininity and plurality, right? That's what it should do. So the word for they, if you remember when we looked at the pronouns, if we're talking about the feminine form of they, the signal letter is nun sofit. Remember that. If you remember the signal letters and you remember the patterns, you're going to be well on your way to learning this. So let's start out here. We'll start out with they in the feminine sense. So if the masculine sense of they is haim, then we need to say hain, because it's nun sofit, signal letter for femininity. So let's start with a hey, okay? A saray, we get that AY sound, and we have a nun sofit. There we go, hain. Now, the word for daughter is bat. But there's a little confusing when we talk about multiple daughters, because we're not using the tav anymore. It's changing to a nun. So it looks kind of like banim, but it is actually banot. That's the word for daughters. Okay? And we're going to reverse the order here to make it proper in Hebrew. So let's say banot. Bet, segol, kametz, nun, holem, and we end with a tav. Okay, hain, banot. Now we need to work on this word right here, good. Well, it can't be tova. It can't be kametz he, because we're talking about more than one daughter. So we need to use the pattern for femininity and plurality, which is holem tav. So we're going to say, we're going to take tov and we're going to turn it into tovot. Okay? So we have our tet, our holem, our vet, and now we're going to add holem and tav. Okay, so we have hain, banot, tovot. Okay, that is the answer for number 6. And remember, everything matches up. We've got femininity and plurality here, and we've got femininity and plurality here just by looking at the holem tav ending. Okay, all right. I hope that's understandable enough for all you guys. Now, what we're going to do now is I would like you, I think this would be kind of fun for you guys to do on your own, because this will rhyme when it's translated correctly. Okay? So I'm going to have you guys do number 7 and number 8, okay, for these types of exercises. So what I'm going to do then is, this is section 4, number 7, number 8. We'll stop the share on this. Okay, and we will open up the share of the exercises here. Okay, we're still in chapter 5. Go down here. Get this right. There we go. I want to give a space between all these days that we've been doing this. Exercise 4, and it's 7, 8. Okay, there we go. So we'll stop. Okay, we'll add that. Now let's go back to our book here, see what we have. So let's that's good there. So now let's look at this here. Number 5, rewrite the sentences that follow, changing the singular forms to plural. Remember that the adjective agrees with the noun. So they're getting a little more difficult here, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do, let's see, I'll probably do, there we go, get my draw here. I'll probably do, let's see, I'll do 6 of them with you, and then I'll have you guys do these last 2. We'll put that on the exercise, but let's look here what we're doing here. So right now we have ze, ha'am, harav. Okay, ze, ha'am, harav. So we need to make this, we know this is the word for this, the nation, and the much or abundant. So we need to change these from their singular sense to the plural. So ze, for this, if you're talking about this is the abundant nation, we need to make it say, or many nations. We could say these are the many nations. This is the many nations. We need to say these something, right? Because we're going to change ha'am to ha'amim. And we need to change this descriptive word right here, harav, that's our adjective. We need to make that reflect plurality and masculinity, because am is masculine, right? So let's see what we can do here. I'm gonna try to do it over here. So we're gonna use the word Ela first, okay? Which is the word, remember, it doesn't matter whether it's masculine or feminine, it's the word for these. Okay. Okay. Ela, these. And then now the ha'am needs to be changed to ha. It's got to be plural, so it's going to be amim, ha'amim. So we have ha. Okay. And the amim, we have our ayin, there's our mem, and hirik, yod, mem sofit. Ela, ha'amim, and now remember the ha'rav, that's the, that is the, or at least rav is, that's your adjective, that's the subject of this chapter. So we need to make that match plurality of nations. So instead of ha'rav, it's got to be changed to ha'rabim, okay? So hirik, yod, mem sofit. There's that pattern again. So we have Ela, ha'amim, ha'rabim. That's the answer to number 1. Okay. All right, good. I wish I had a little more space to write on here. Maybe what I could do is bring it down to 200. Hopefully you guys could still see it like that. Okay. All right. There we go. So let's look at our next one. Haben Gadol. The sun is big or great. By the way, translation here, these are the many nations. Okay. That's our translation for number one. And number two, we have the sun is big, but we need to make it say sons. So it's going to be ha-banim, and it's going to say gadolim. Okay, hirik yod mem sofit. I'm not going to write that one out for sake of brevity and time, but I will tell you what it is. So the sons are great. Number three, we have ha-shabbat barucha. Now, why is it kametz hey on there? Because the Sabbath is feminine gender. So right now we're saying the Sabbath is blessed, right? But what if we want to have more than one Sabbath? What if we want to say Sabbaths? Okay, so we need to change ha-Shabbat to ha-Shabbatot. And so what that looks like, real quick here. Okay. Kind of a long one here. Got two tavs in it. Ha-Shabbatot, the Sabbaths. And so, of course, this this baruka has to change to a feminine plural. And so it's going to have an O ending on it. So instead of kametz hey, it's going to have holem tov, or tav, rather, holem tav. So we have ha-Shabbat barukot, okay? So number four, we have mi ha-melech ha-gadol. So who is the big king or the great king? Who is the great king? That's what that's saying. Okay, so this is not going to change, but we know that this is going to change and this is going to change, right? So the me is going to stay the same. So it's just going to be, that's the word for who, right? Me. And we need the ha-melech to become ha-melachim, okay? Ha-melachim, and then the ha-gadol is going to change to masculinity and plural. Well, this is the same pattern, hirik yod mem sofit, so we're going to say ha-gadolim, okay? All right. So I think we're starting to get the idea here. Here's another one of these ze ones. Ze davar kadosh. This is the set apart word. Okay? We need to make this say these are the set apart words. So kadosh has to change to kadoshim because that's masculinity and plurality, because we're talking about davar. That's how we get the masculinity. The davar is masculine, so it's going to filter onto our adjective, kadosh, right? And it has to equal. So they want us to make this plural. So we're going to have Ela, okay? Okay, Ele. Okay, so that's these, and we're going to make this, davar, say davarim. I'm not going to write that out, but that's the answer. And kadosh has to be changed to kadoshim. Okay, so that's what's happening there. All right, let's go to number 6. We have ha'av hu melech gadol. Okay, now we have the father is a great king. The father is a great king. In other words, literally this says the father, he, king, great. Okay, so we need to make this say plural for avot. It's got to change to av has got to change to avot. This has got to change to haim, because we're not just going to talk about he. We're now talking about they when we change king to melakim, and gadol, then being the descriptive word about these kings, is going to change to its masculine plural sense, gadolim. Okay, so we would have havot, ha'avot, haim, melachim, gadolim. So what is that saying there? The kings are great. Or the kings, literally, it would say the kings, they are great, because we put that haim in there in place of who. Okay, so I think that's clear enough for us there. So I'm going to have you guys do number 7 and number 8 on exercise 5. Okay. Exercise 5, 7, and 8. I'm just giving you a few here to do because these are not easy. That's why I'm spending most of the time explaining these to you. Okay? Let's see what we got here. Let's go back now and continue on. Number 6, rewrite the following sentences, changing from plural to singular. So all we're going to do is go back the other way. Okay? So let's just do a quick, we'll just do these as quickly as we can. So we have habanim, bauchim. Okay, so in this case, the word habanim, if we're going to look at the word banim, it's sons. So we need to make this singular. We need to make it say son. And baruchim, we need to make that say simply blessed in its singular masculine sense. So it's going to say Haben Baruch. Haben Baruch. Simple enough. And then here is our regular form, Baruch. Okay, which is a half sofit, Teshuvah. Haben Baruch. Okay, so that's what we've got for number 1. Number 2, Ha Banot Tovot. Well, we know that this Banot here means daughters. So we need to make it say daughter. So simply it's going to be Ha Bat. Habat, right? And Tovot is going to change to its feminine singular sense. So remember the pattern for that is Kametz He. So we have Tova. Kametz He. That's the answer to number 2. Habat Tova. Okay, let's look at number 3. We have Ha Shabbatot, which is the Sabbaths. The Sabbaths are set apart. So we need to make this say the Sabbath is set apart. So it's simply going to be Ha Shabbat. We're going to change this to a singular. Okay. Ha Shabbat, and Kadoshot has now got to be reduced down to simply Kadosha. Okay. Kametz, hey, ending for femininity and singularity. Okay? Hashabbat, Kadosha. So what is that saying? The Sabbath is holy or set apart. Okay? Let's go down to number 4. Haim, Amim, Barokim. Okay, so we know that Haim means they. That's a pronoun, but it's masculine. Notice the signal letter, Mem Sofit. And we have Amim, our nation. So we need to make this say nation, and Barokim is blessed. We need to make that say simply singular, masculine blessed. And Haim, now this one here where it says they, we need to make that say it, because it's talking about Amim, which is the nation. So it's Am this case. So instead of Haim, we're going to reduce it down to who. That's number 4. Hey, Shurik, Aleph. Okay. And now instead of Amim, we just want it to say Am. Okay, there's our Ayin and Mem Sofit. Who? And now this big one here, Baruchim, we need to make that say masculinity and singularity, so we just get our standard form, Baruch. Okay. Who? Baruch. That's number 4. Okay, because we're going the other way now, remember? All right, number 5. Atem ha'avot ha-tovim. All right, so we're getting down close here. Now, atem is going to be you all, masculine plural. Avot is the fathers, you all, the fathers. Ha-tovim, the good. Okay, so we need to make this say you, the father, the good. Okay, so in order to get a singular you for masculine noun, we would simply use ata. Remember that? Okay. Ata. Ata. Ha. Av. For the father, right? Ha-av. And then the ha-tovim has got to change to, we've got to make that simply say ha-tov. Okay? Okay, there we go. Ata, ha'av, hatov. That's number 5. Reduce down from plurality to singularity. So, I think this would be a good one for you guys to work on. 6, 7, and 8. That is exercise number 6. 6 through 8. So, let's throw that on there. Let's see, what is that? That's exercise number 6, 6 through 8. Okay, all right, good. All right, so now let's look at this one here. This is our last set of exercises, guys. We will be done with this chapter. Now, the reason why this is taking a little longer is because the adjectives having all those 4 forms, you've got the masculine singular, you got the feminine singular, you got the masculine plural, and you got the feminine plural forms of every single descriptive word in Hebrew that describes a noun. that's a little heavy to wrap our heads around. So that's why we're taking 3 weeks to complete this. So let's look here at what we've got. This is exercise 7. And what they want us to do here is for each of the following sentences, an adjective is given. Fill in the blank with the correct form of adjective, adding the hey where necessary. So let's see what we can get. So right now we have at, bot, and blank. We need to, right now it says you, this would be you, feminine, daughter, but we need it to say this gadol. We need to make it reflect femininity and singularity because we're just talking about one daughter. So simply what we're going to do is put a gadol, okay? Gadola in there. They don't make these blanks very good for me to put these in here, but I'll do the best we can. Kametz, hey, ending. So that's what they're doing there. At, bat, gadola. And the translation is, you are a great daughter. Okay? Now, how about this one? Zot ha Torah. This is the Torah. And what is about the Torah that we need to say? Kadosh. Okay? So we're not just going to say this is the Torah. This is the set-apart Torah. So we need to make this kadosh reflect femininity. Now, here's a clue right here. Torah, with our kametz hey ending. Let's get rid of that there. I don't want to confuse you. Torah with our kametz hey ending, we already have a clue that this is a feminine gender. So we need to make kadosh move from its masculine singular sense and have a feminine singular sense. Okay, so in this case, remember that the kof has a shavah whenever it changes for that kadosh. So we're going to have dalet, holem, sheen, and its kametz hey ending, okay, to reflect femininity and singularity. So zot haTorah kadosha. Okay, so that's what that one should be. This is the set-apart Torah. That's number 2. This is the set-apart Torah. Okay, number 3, we have, we got a blank here, and that Baruch is going to go in there some way. Habanim hatovim. Well, we know that banim means sons because it's plural of bain for son. So we have good sons, good sons. But what about the good sons are we going to say? We're going to use this Baruch and make it match up. So here's the clue. Hirik, Yod, Mem, Sofit pattern. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. We're going to throw that pattern on this Baruch here. Okay, so let me take it. We'll bring it over here. Okay, so we have our bet, our resh, our shurik, okay, and our chaf, and here it is, hirik, yod, mem, sofit. So this is going to say barokim, habanim, hatovim. Translation, the good sons are blessed. We turn that around a little bit. Literally, it says blessed the good sons. But the good sons are blessed sounds better in English. Okay? All right. So, let's look at number 4 and keep moving along here as fast as we can. I'd like to finish this thing. Ha shalom and rav, meaning abundant in this case, or much, but I would say abundant might be better. So the peace, and remember that shalom is masculine. So is this going to change? Absolutely not. This is going to go right in there. Ha shalom rav. Okay, the peace is abundant. That was an easy one. It's almost like they tried to trick you with that one, didn't they? To make sure you knew what we were learning here. Okay, so let's go to number 5. Ha-Shabbat. He, remember the Sabbath, and he in this case means it, and Baruch is blessed, but we need to make this reflect the femininity of Shabbat. Remember, Shabbat is feminine gender, so we need to make this Baruch reflect feminine gender. So what's going to happen here? We're going to have a bet, okay, a resh, a shurik, a chaf, and here it is. Here's the pattern, kametz hey. So we have ha-Shabbat, he, baruka, and so the Sabbath is blessed. Literally, it says the Sabbath, it is blessed, but we don't usually pronounce that part in English, so we just simply simplify it down to the Sabbath is blessed. Okay, we're racing here to get this done. Haim, ha'amim, they, nations, and we have kadosh. Well, we know that amim is masculine and it's plural, so we need to make this kadosh reflect masculinity and plural. Haim is they, so we need this kadosh to have the pattern for masculinity and plurality, which is hirik yod mem sofi. So what's that going to look like? Well, let's put our kof here, and remember that the kametz changes to a shava under the kof, and we have kadosh. Here we go, sheen, kadosh, and here it is, hirik yod mem sofit. Okay, that's what goes in that blank right there. So ha-Shabbat, he, sorry, not that one, this one. Let's make that go down, little arrow there. All right, so we have Haim, Amim, Kadoshim, or translation, they are set apart nations. They are set apart nations. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to give you guys the last two to see how you do. All right? Because we are right at 10 o'clock. All right, I don't know how we got that. Okay, hold on here. How do we get that little mark on there? I don't know what that story is. Why that mark's on there? Okay, let's just do this. I'll try to ignore it. All right. We have Moshe, Avraham, Haim, Melachim, and well, that's a long one, isn't it? We have this word Tov. So right now we can see that we're talking about Moses and Abraham. So that puts it into the plural realm, doesn't it? Haim enforces it by saying they. And Melachim, hirik yod mem sofit, masculinity, plurality. So Tov has got to reflect now, which means good. The adjective has got to reflect masculinity and plurality to match up with everything else in the sentence. So instead of Tov, we're going to have our masculine plural ending pattern, which is hirik yod mem sofit. So we're going to put our tet here, and our holem, and our vav, and here it is, hirik yod mem sofit. Okay, so that's what goes in that right there. So we have Moshe, Avraham, Haim, Melachim, Tovim. So what is that saying? Moses and Abraham are good kings. Melachim, kings. Tovim, good kings. Moses and Abraham are good kings. Okay, so once you guys get the hang of this, I think it's going to go a little more smooth for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to add for the last two exercises of this chapter, 8 and 9, which is number 7, exercise number 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so let's open up our exercises here. That's not too many, I don't think, for you guys. I'm not trying to make it as burdensome beyond what I think you guys are capable of doing. So there's our exercises. Remember, it's this section here. This section here is what we're paying attention to. Okay. And if you like, I can send you another sheet out. And this completes chapter 5. Next week, we're going to start chapter 6. Okay. And we'll see what we have there. And remember that all we have to do is get through 7, and we're going to have a hiatus. We're going to have a break. That will be considered section 1 for Prayerbook Hebrew, and we'll give you guys a break to sort of, whether it be catching up or whether it be just resting. And maybe in a month or 5 weeks, we'll start section 2 again. I've spoken with Dr. Snyder, and we felt that that would be a good thing to do. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions about this teaching today? I'm really happy to have you guys, and I must say it really is a blessing. So if we don't have any questions or comments, I will see you next week. And the way that we say see you later in Hebrew is lahitraot.